The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of WBGR Network.
Good morning, Delegate. How are you?
All right.
So we got it to work finally, right?
We got it to work.
Well, I had to password secure this interview just for your protection, my protection, everybody's protection. So
okay, cool.
So you understand that.
Absolutely.
So I see we are both operating from the safety of our own homes.
Yeah.
How are you handling this COVID and being a leader of the community?
Listen, it's tough, right? I think it's tough for me, it's tough for you, it's tough for everybody involved right now. I mean, this is clearly an adjustment period that we all have to get used to. I think if we all follow the warnings that the governor and the president and the task force are laying out, I think we'll escape this thing with as few deaths as possible. You know, the number of deaths growing in the state of Maryland is rising. But at the same time, I think people are starting to get it, where they're staying at home, they're staying put. If they do go out, they're now starting to wear their protective face covering, as well as gloves and things like that. So I think at the end of the day, my goal is that, you know, we can try to get through this thing as quickly as possible to try to get back to some form of normalcy. Because I think, you know, everybody is getting antsy. Everybody's getting cabin fever. You know, I know my kids are dying to get back around their friends. I'm dying to get back around my friends and my colleagues, you know, so hopefully we'll get through this thing quickly.
Absolutely. And I know my kids are antsy as well. They want to go out, play football, especially when they're active. Yeah. So for those who don't know, I am having the pleasure to speak with you today, and you are Delegate Darryl Barnes, District 25. And this is Get It, Got It Good on WBGR Health and Wellness Channel. You can also tune in on Total Entertainment Radio at 6 p.m. weeknights. So let me ask you a question. For
Sure.
those who don't know District 25 or don't live in your geographical zone, what does that entail, District 25?
So District 25 is one of the largest districts in the state of Maryland. We represent everything from Upper Marlboro to a little part of Capitol Heights, District Heights, Forestville, Camp Spring, Morningside, Temple Hills, Clinton. We represent roughly 125,000 people within District 25. So our job is a lot. You know, we're constantly busy. We're constantly interchanging conversations with our constituents. We're constantly going to HOA meetings and civic association meetings because there's so much going on within District 25.
So as a delegate, what does that mean? Because I know a lot of people only know politics as, you know, presidential race or mayoral, things like that. So what does being a delegate mean?
So I always tell folks the easiest way to explain it is a delegate is equivalent to a congressman. So if you think of a congressman on Capitol Hill, we're a delegate essentially here in the State House. So here in the state of Maryland, we're called delegates. A senator is a senator. So we do some of the same functions as a congressman does, but only at the state level. You know, our number one job as a delegate is to pass a balanced budget for the state of Maryland. And right now, before we left this last session, I think our balanced budget was around $47 billion. On top of all the other laws that we enact, but our number one job is to make sure that we balance the budget for the state of Maryland.
Now, will the budget take a hit because of this COVID-19?
Well, some things are definitely going to take a hit. I mean, and that's to be understandable. But we now have to reassess what's going on. We now have to reassess our priorities. We have to put things in perspective, and we have to look at things more objectively now to say, you know, how do we move forward? How do we now prepare for the next pandemic? How do we now put money and supplies aside for the next tragedy or something that's going to hit the state of Maryland? So I think this was a great eye opener for us to make sure that we're prepared to show some of the holes or gaps that we have. And it's an opportunity for us to now go back and make sure that we fulfill those gaps. And one of the things I know the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus is looking at right now is the data collection, you know, on the racial disparities here in the state of Maryland, to show the inequity of health disparities among people of color, in my case, especially for African Americans. You know, so how do we look at those things and say, are we really moving forward? Are we really doing the citizens of the state of Maryland justice when we start talking about health equality?
Indeed. So I was also looking at the numbers this morning when it came to the death toll rates when it comes to COVID-19 and how African Americans, because of health coverage, because of pre-existing conditions, sorry about that, are actually dying at a higher percentage once they do contract. And I know early on there was this consensus or this thought that people of color couldn't even get it. So will the healthcare coverage, that's part of the issue, and education. So how is the state getting the information out there? I know people could go to, you know, the CDC website. You've been putting out information. What are some of the other places people can go?
Yeah, one of the things, you know, we have to stop these myths. Black folks are just immune to all these things. You know, it reminds me of the AIDS pandemic. Where, you know, folks were saying, well, the only way you could catch AIDS is that if you were gay. And, you know, lo and behold, you could catch AIDS by a number of things. And the same thing applies to this coronavirus. You know, folks were like, well, the only people that was catching it is white folks. And the only people that was catching it were older folks. And then all of a sudden, black folks start contracting the virus. You know, so we have to stop putting out those myths that we all start to believe in, and we think that we're immune to those things. Because when we think that we're immune to those things, then we're letting our guard down and we're not being safe and we're not protecting ourselves and we're contracting the virus and we're now passing it on to other people. So we have to be smart about doing our homework and doing our research and fully understanding the times that we're in and the situations that before us. So I think that's part of it, is just really understanding where we are and doing our homework. Two, I think there's a slew of information that's out there right now that people can now start to do their own research and fully understand where they are. And one of the things that we do know is that you do have conditions that you really need to stay at home, right? Because if you had diabetes, high blood pressure, any of those things, cancer or whatever, then you're more immune to catch the virus more quickly than someone that doesn't have those things, right? The study has shown that. So now we have to say, all right, if I have those things, I have to now be smart about the people I'm around. Do I go out the house? Yada, yada, yada. And then you have to say, if you're over a certain age, then you're more acceptable of contracting the virus as well, right? So we have to look at those things. And then we have to start looking at the CDC website. Prince George's County has a website that talks about these things. The state of Maryland has one. You know, so there's plenty of data and information that's out there. And the news is doing nothing but reporting on this stuff every single day. which is depressing in itself.
You got to turn that off sometimes.
You have to, right? Because I think it starts playing with your mental capacity on, what's going on. Every time you go to Facebook, all I see is rest in peace, so-and-so, and blah, blah, blah. You turn on the news, so-and-so, the death rate has went up. We hit a new high of deaths in the state. We hit a new high of deaths in the country. So it's nothing but doom and gloom, right? So we have to now start figuring out, how do we start promoting positive news? How do we start promoting things that makes us feel good? To now where we start deflecting what's going on and start thinking about the happy days.
Indeed.
Right? Yeah, because we know that at some point, we're going to get past it. So let's start talking about where we're going on vacation, going to that football game that your son plays in, going to the basketball game, or just getting out to the park. Who's having the next cookout? Who's bringing the crabs and the fried fish? I think we have to start thinking about those things and start putting a smile on our face to deflect the doom and gloom all the time.
Exactly. I know that a lot of people that I've been interviewing lately are using this time as a gift, because now they can, game plan, they can work on some things that they were not able to finish before because of lack of time.
Yeah.
Reconnect with family, do some things that us doing our normal everyday lives are too busy to do.
Right.
Right. So how did you get on this path, this political path? Where did you start in wanting to go and be a delegate?
Well, I think, for me, I always tell a story. I started off by being the president of my HOA. So I was the president of my homeowners association for roughly 12 years. I was on the executive board of the NAACP. I was the vice president of the Boys and Girls Club. I was the vice president of Blacks in Government. So it was a natural progression of growth. And then I ran one of the premier nonprofits here in Prince George's County called Men Aiming Higher, that work with young boys between the ages of 14 to 29. And then lastly, my community asked me to run, right? So they saw all the wonderful things that I was doing and thought that this would be a natural progression to continue that legacy building, if you will. And that's why I decided to run for state delegate.
So what is a term like for a delegate?
So the term is 4 years, and there's no term limit. So, we can run as many times as the voters will elect us to run. So right now I'm in my second term. I will be going in my third term. Election is 2022. So God willing, the voters vote for me, I'll be going back into my third term.
So what is your aspirations then? Do you want to stay a delegate? Do you want to go for a different political office in the future?
I've been asked that question 101 times. And I really love what I'm doing, and that's not being politically correct. But I really love what I'm doing. I am I'm the chairman of the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus. I'm the deputy majority whip in Annapolis. I'm sit on a subcommittee chairman in Ways and Means. So I'm in a pretty good leadership role in Annapolis. But I never say, never to anything, because we never know what the future holds. I always keep my options open. But for today, for right now, I love what I'm doing right now. I think I'm making an impact. I think I'm making a difference. I love mentoring and helping some of our freshman delegates. I love working with our youth in the community. I love working with our seniors. So I really love the position that I am, because it affords me to touch so many people and help so many people right now.
Most definitely. So tell me about some of those mentorship roles, because I've seen you out and about for different events, positive events, and you work with the youth a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So, even through my nonprofit, Men Aiming Higher, we work with those kids from 14 to 29 and teaching them leadership development skills, how to prepare for the next phase of life, how they to start planning on matriculating through the school system. And what does that look like for them? How are they preparing for college? How are they doing things to make sure that they're an upstanding citizen here in the state of Maryland? And how are they connecting with their families? Because a lot of these kids are at risk. A lot of them come from single parent households, so they're already dealing with social economic despair. A lot of them are on free or reduced lunch. So how are we preparing our young people for success? What are we teaching them about reading and financial literacy? All of those things I think are critically important. And then as a man, how are we demonstrating true leadership, right? Because we are who we see, right? So if I'm out there acting up, clowning around, doing all this craziness, how am I in a position to tell someone, hey, this is what you're supposed to do? Right? So I try to, live my life by an example of doing the right thing, saying the right thing, dressing the right way, doing the right things, because I already know that a lot of people are already watching me. A lot of people want me to succeed, and there's another group of people that want me to fail. Right?
Of course.
So that's where we are.
So yeah, leading by example. I always try to lead by example. It doesn't always work out that way, but hey, we're human.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you mentioned the school system. What do you say on District 25 school system and the school systems in the state of Maryland altogether?
I think our school system are getting better, honestly. And I sit on Ways and Means, which oversees education K through 12. And in Prince George's County, I am so pleased by our superintendent or CEO of schools, Dr. Monica Golson. I think she is doing a yeoman's job. I think she's working extremely hard to make a difference. I think she talks to me and tells me what's going on, the good, bad, and the indifference. I give her my feedback on trying to be supportive. And I know she does that with all the other delegates and the senators. So she has really done a great job as far as communicating with us, letting us know what's going on, receiving feedback and applying that feedback, which makes a difference. I'll see our young people more engaged in the school system. I see our kids, our parents now starting to come to more PTA meetings, which is a great thing. So I think our school system is starting to turn a curve in which we're moving upstream now. And I only wish the best for all of us.
Yeah. So what are some of the programs that people can take a hold of to help in that process to work with the school systems, or some of the after school programs that parents, single parent households can actually utilize to help them out?
Well, I think the number one thing that any parent can do is get involved with their local PTA. Mm-hmm. I think that's the start. Getting involved in your child's life. Find out who their friends are, right? Because, my pastor told me, if you show me your friends, I'm going to show you your future.
Yeah.
Right? So the one thing that I always do is I want to know who my friends are associated with, right? Who are their parents? What are their philosophies? What are their beliefs? I think that's the main thing. Then the other thing is sitting down at the kitchen table, having dinner, having conversation, right? Because once you start doing that and getting into that routine, and I think this experience of being shut in, hopefully is bringing more families together. Hopefully this is the time where we're now communicating with our children, communicating with our spouses about a whole host of things. And I think if we start there in just the communication, I think you'll start to see a change in behavior. I think you'll see a change in schoolwork and production. I think you'll see a change in attitude, but it all starts with that communication and then just trying to figure out, how do I get involved?
Absolutely. And another thing that you work really closely with are businesses, small minority businesses.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak on that? Because the last event that we were at was in Annapolis. What was that event called?
It was our MBE night in Annapolis.
Yes, that.
Yeah. So I started an organization entitled the Bi-County Business Roundtable, which is a microcosm of a chamber of commerce, where we help you with advocacy, training, procurement opportunity, and just good old-fashioned networking. Always tell the members of the Bi-County Business Roundtable that I am the chief visionary officer for their company, where I try to help them in connecting the dots. So if you're a company that's doing $0 to $50,000, then my job is to try to help you get $100,000 to $500,000. And if you're doing $1 million to $5 million, then my job is to try to get you to that $10 million mark. And it's all about relationship buildings and making sure that you're doing the right thing. And even though we're in business, sometimes we don't understand business, right? Because we just going through the the Mickama role of doing our job every day, but no one is handling all the back office support and the marketing and paying attention to some of the operating things, because I'm focused on trying to get that procurement opportunity, that contract, and I'm leaving all those other things behind. So the Bi-County Business Roundtable kind of helps put all those things together. So we are a membership that's growing. We've only been around now for maybe a year and a half. We have a little over 150 members under our umbrella, and we're steadily growing. I think this coronavirus has helped me and our small business start saying, hell, I don't have all the things in place I thought I did, right? I need to make sure, my stuff is in order. And if it's not in order, as you indicated earlier, here's the time to start that strategic planning and making sure that, we're starting to get things in place. So when this stay at home is lifted and I'm ready to go back out there in the world, am I truly prepared? Do I have the right insurance in place for my job and for my family? Do I have life insurance? Do I have all the necessary things to be successful? Do I have my will in place? This is a great opportunity to put your will in place right now while you're sitting at home. Oh my
goodness, I preach this so much, and people don't usually take it seriously until something like this happens. Yeah. But I'm always saying, what is your life insurance? What is your will? Who are your beneficiaries? Do you need a trust because your children are underage? Right. What are you going to do? What is your financial game plan? And a lot of times people don't think about it, but then now you see how many people have to file for unemployment, how many people have to wait on some type of government assistance, and it gets really real fast. So yeah, I'm so glad that you stated it. Yeah.
It's important. And unfortunately, the unemployment rate is going to continue to grow. Unfortunately, foreclosure rate is going to go up. People are going to lose homes. People are going to lose jobs. And it's all because of not being properly planned. You didn't plan for it. You're not forward thinking, because we all live in a bubble that says, this isn't going to happen to me. I'm making a good living. My paycheck isn't going to stop. I'm in a good shape. I drive a nice car. I got a nice house. My kids got on the latest clothes and shoes. But then when this stuff happens, it's like, hell, I didn't have the money saved the way I thought I did.
Nope.
I didn't, the refrigerator just broke. What am I going to do? Right. So all of those things, I think now is this time to start planning for the future. Now is the time to start saying, how much money do I really need to put aside every payday, every month or whatever, to make sure that should this happen again, I got myself covered.
I'm covered. But a lot of times people don't even know what their total expenses are. They just spend money as fast as it comes in. Oh, this comes in, this comes in. So they first got to understand where they are financially so they can know where they're going.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the advice you would have for a business besides use this time wisely? But as far as the networks you're involved in, what would be the first step? Would they go to a website? Would they go to a meeting? How can they reach out further and learn more about that?
Yeah, I think, you can always come to our website, which is www.bcbroundtable.com, where we have a plethora of information on there. One about how to join, how to become a member. But I think for me, most importantly is really trying to sit down with pen and paper and figure out what your mission statement is. What's your objective? And then once you figure out what your mission statement is and your statement of work is, how am I going to get there? What does it really take for me to be successful? Because I'm sure most people that's working for someone right now because of this situation are all now saying, I'm going to start my own business, right? And that's great. But what does it really take for you to start that business? Mm-hmm. And if you don't know, then, you really need to figure out who will be a great coach or mentor for me, right? And I don't care how old you are, we don't know it all. And I don't care how well successful you are, there's still someone advising you and guiding you. So figure out who that mentor or coach will be to help you get to the next level. Learn how to put pride aside and take collective or corrective criticism when someone says, that ain't right. And you be like, no, that is right. I'm going to do it this way. But no, sometimes you got to listen to other people to get to where you want to get to.
Because other people can see what you can't from a different perspective.
Absolutely.
And I liken it to sports all of the time because my husband's a coach. So I always say, even Michael Jordan had a coach, you know what I mean? So even the best players have coaches to let them know where they can improve upon and what they should be doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that goes for me. You know, I look at other legislators that have been doing it a lot longer than I have. I look at other successful businesses that have been doing it a lot longer than I do things, and I toast things into my own style to help.
Give me 1 second, because I think we just lost one of the feeds. So I definitely want to make sure it is back.
No problem.
All right. And I think we are still up and running.
Cool.
Technology from multiple different streams. You
That's
know how it is. We're all adjusting during this time. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, you know, this is another way that I did another interview a couple of days ago where I told folks that, you know, here's the time where you have to adjust and say, what did I learn through this experience? Because if you come out of this with having not learned anything, then I think you didn't take advantage of it. So, you know, so how did I learn? Like my youngest son turned 14 on April the 5th. And
wow, happy birthday.
And that, you know, we couldn't go out to dinner. We couldn't go to the park or some amusement or him to bring all his friends together. We had all the family and friends on Zoom, right? So they all sung happy birthday. We were all able to see them and connect with them. You know, so we have to learn how to evolve through these experiences to make sure that we're still able to do our job. We're still able to communicate. We're still able to see our family and our friends. And we're still able to do those things that make an impact. You know, even though I can't touch you or see, you know, do those things, I can still see you. I can still talk to you. And that still brings me joy and comfort when I can still see and touch someone. So we have to learn how to evolve from those things. So now, you know, when I'm sick or I can't go to work, I'm still able to communicate with my employer or my job or my coworkers or the people that work for me. You know, so I think, you know, we have to learn how to evolve from these types of situations that makes us better in the future.
I think we're truly blessed that we have the technology right now to be able to still stay in contact with people.
Absolutely.
I know, right? So do you think that the world will go back to normal or you think there's going to be a different norm now?
I think there's going to be a different norm. You know, I think people are now going to be more conscious of the people they're around, the hugging, the handshakes, those types of things. I think Zoom and WebEx are going to get rich because I think more people are going to start utilizing this more. I think you'll start seeing more Zoom and WebEx companies start to develop. And I think you'll probably start to see more social media platforms come out of this because I think, you know, once again, this is now part of the new normal.
Our fabric now, yeah.
Yep.
I think from a business perspective, since I do run businesses, it made me realize how cost efficient it is.
Yeah.
Because before when you go, you travel, it's really not necessary all of the time, especially on the beginning phases of business building or relationships or contracts.
Sure.
I can see going in and solidifying that deal, that relationship. But this can save some airtime, some travel time, which you can then utilize for something else, like being home for dinner with your family. And so it'll help us reprioritize, in my opinion.
Absolutely. You know, my kids play soccer. They play for an organization called Maryland United. So every Thursday, their coach and their teammates are all on Zoom talking about what did they do throughout the course of the week to still stay in shape. And he gives them homework assignments, and he's able to track their thing because there's an app that they have to track out did they run their 3 miles today, did they do their footwork, how many times did they kick the ball, yada, yada, yada. So yes, I think this is going to be part of the new normal.
I think it's just awesome. So I'm not going to keep you forever. However, if somebody wanted to follow you and get on your newsletter list or your mailer list, how would they do that?
Yeah, so I think there's two ways. I think one could go to my political website, which is www.darrylbarnes.net. Soon as you click on that, I think a thing pops up that says join our newsletter. So that's a great way to stay connected from a political standpoint. And then my business by county business roundtable, you can go to www.bcbroundtable.com to learn how to become a member, how to get involved from that aspect, and to really learn all the things that we do there. And then lastly, my nonprofit, which is menaimingHigher.org, www.menaimingHigher.org. So there's three things that I'm involved in and I'm real passionate about. One is my nonprofit, one is my for-profit and bi-county business roundtable, and then the third is my political realm of DarrylBarnes.net.
How do you balance it all? Because I know a lot of times business owners, entrepreneurs, especially when they first start, they're wearing like all of these different hats.
Yeah.
Fine. So how do you balance?
Well, for me, luckily, I've been doing this for a while. I got good staff. I got good volunteers. And they all take their role and responsibilities real serious, and that they really follow through on the things that they need to follow through on. And at the end of the day, it's about accountability and making sure that we deliver on the things that we say we can do.
Awesome. Well, I want to really thank you. I've been waiting for this for a while.
Yeah.
But, with the previous normal schedule and everything, it just didn't line up. So I definitely want to thank you for taking time out of your day and to do this interview with me.
I appreciate it. I just wish, I had a shave and a haircut, But I told folks I'm not shaving until the coronavirus is over with, and it's steadily growing and starting to itch now. But I'm looking forward to hopefully us all getting back to some form of normalcy.
My mother told me last night that women have an advantage during this time. Yes, we do. I don't, but women as a general do hair salons and nail appointments and stuff like that. However, we've gotten used to doing our own hair and nails from an early age, whereas men are having issues when it comes to shaving their heads and things.
Right.
So she said the men are actually looking kind of more scruffy than the females.
She's talking about me.
I think it's fine. Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in to Get It Got It Good. Once again, I'm your host, Naja Wilhite Carter. You can catch Get It Got It Good Wednesdays, 11:30 on WBGR Health and Wellness Channel, and weeknights on Total Entertainment Radio at 6 p.m. And I want to thank my sponsors, One Man Sharpens Another, Maryland Prep Academy, Dance Solutions Youth Outreach, as well as Mission Dance Works and Nail Fetish. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you, Delegate. I appreciate you doing this with me.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too.
Clean, reliable electricity. It's our energy solution. Homeowners and business owners go solar with Broom Energy. Help the planet and save money on electricity bills. Go solar. Engage Broom Energy.